Turns out it's hard to make an intro if you only have one night left. So this is Indigo 2022 with Open Indie. We hope you enjoy the show.
Today we have a very special episode for you. There's a gaming event taking place in the Netherlands called INDIGO, where some indies come together to present their games and network. 4 Dutch indies took some time before the event to talk to us. We asked them about their studio and their upcoming projects they're showcasing at INDIGO. Now, let's check what this solo dev is working on. I swear this wasn't me. I swear. That's from the game. This is the game Billy Bumbum, a cheeky puzzler, and it's being developed by the solo dev Jonathan Barbosa Dijkstra, who founded a studio called Frambosa. Hey Jonathan, nice to have you here.
Hi Sarah, good to be here.
First question, could you describe a scene for us from your current game?
I could describe the game, I guess. It's so Billy Bumbum is a very colorful, cute, and silly puzzle game. Where you're a cube-shaped butt of a dragon looking for other parts of the dragon who are also little characters. And you basically flip Billy around from side to side to ensure you have his butt facing the correct way when needed. That's like a core puzzle element. And it's centered around these puzzles in like bite-sized levels. So you can play a level and it won't take too long and I'll play the next one. And in each level, the goal is to eventually land butt first on the finish cube, where you use your magic farts to free your friends, you rescue your friends. And it's, it can get difficult at times, I guess. It requires some spatial thinking. It requires some thinking ahead. But you won't really be punished because you can just rewind your moves whenever you want. So in that sense, there's room for some trial and error, and you won't feel too frustrated, I hope, anyway.
So you solve puzzles with your butt and you fart your way from level to level, something like that.
Yeah, I guess in a sense, that's what it comes down to, yeah.
Second question, how did you come up with this?
Yeah, it's a lot less exciting than you would imagine, but it's Billy started off as a very simple cube flipping game, where one side of the cube is different than the rest of the sides, and you got to do something with that. It didn't have the colorful weirdness, it didn't have the silliness, it didn't have the cheekiness, I like right when Corona hit, or like beginning 2020, I taught myself programming, and after a few months of that, I wanted to see like what can I do already. So I started this small project with the flipping a cube around. So it was very much at first me just trying something out, but the gameplay seemed to work pretty well off the bat. So I was inclined to do more with it. And the few people that I showed the game to at that state, they told me like, no, it's a fun game, but if I were to see this in like on Steam or an app store or whatever, if I would see a screenshot of this, it would not excite me. A bunch of cubes, who cares? Cubes are not sexy. So I kind of started brainstorming a bit, how do we make this more fun, make this more marketable in a sense? And I guess one of the first places anybody would go is, well, what if the cube is a character? And from there, the obvious one is, well, okay, we give one side a face. And then right away, my brain was like, well, if this side has a face, obviously the other side needs a butt. That was just like this quick link that I made, and it made me laugh. So I kind of like, okay, well, a little bit silly, a little bit weird could be good. So I made some really ugly sketches. I suck at drawing, but just to get the point across. I showed it to some people to see the reactions it would get, and the reactions were good. They loved or they liked about it what I liked about it, that it's this super simple shape, but you give it a butt and all of a sudden it's like this weird, absurd thing.
It also caught my attention, definitely, yeah.
It's working. There you go. So with this basic information, this sketch, I approached an old colleague of mine, Ilona, who I know is great at making cute characters because she did that at her old job. And she developed it into what Billy is now, which, she did a great job. And I approached another friend of mine who I know is great with environments to do concept art for the environments for the game. And because of also his input into like, he just really thought of the environment, and that's also very colorful, kind of candy / psychedelic, and the environment can be characters themselves. So in a sense, it started off as just a cube with a butt, and with some input from these amazing artists, it became what it is today.
You are a solo dev, but you've also founded a studio, right?
I guess I'm, how do you say, a one-man company. I'm not sure what the official term is for that. It's called Frambosa. It's a play on words on my last name, Barbosa. And in Dutch, framboos is a raspberry. And I don't know, I just thought it was cute, was fun. But the studio is just me, but I do work with some work for hires, as the artists that I just mentioned. I have a great guy that does some amazing music, somebody that's writing some dialogues. I'll probably have someone to do some cutscene animation. So here and there, I'm working with a few people on a work for hire basis.
Fourth question, what's great about being an indie dev and what's difficult?
Well, let's start with great, I guess. I think the obvious big great point is like you have full creative control. That is worth so much, just being able to think of something cool and just get at it and create it and see it grow, see it become this thing. It's really an amazing feeling. And this kind of ensures you're always working on something you care about, because it's your baby. And because of this, your motivation just stays pretty high consistently. At least that's what I've noticed. People ask me like, wow, it's you gotta be so committed to 4 or 5 days a week, go behind your computer and just get at it. But I'm like, no, it's fun. It's that makes it a lot easier to just stick with it. And that's because it's something you have your heart set into, I guess. Another great thing about being a solo indie, I guess, is like you just get to make your own schedule. Yeah, you want a day off because it's nice weather like it is today, no problem, you go do it. And I guess it's also really nice that to a degree you get to pick yourself the creatives you collaborate with, like you work for hire. I'm working with, you get to approach people like, okay, I really like what this person is doing. Let's see if we can work together. If you work in a bigger studio, that doesn't always have to be the case. There's like a manager or there's people that work there so it's set in stone who you work with at times. Being able to choose, I think, really opens up a lot.
And what's the difficult part about being solo dev?
It gets lonely in certain ways, like especially for me, because I'm a solo indie dev. I guess if you're in an indie dev team, that's different. But I really miss just being able to bounce stuff off of a teammate. In particular, stuff on design and programming at the time, because I'm the only one doing that. Just brainstorming about it, having people tell me that is a bad idea, don't do it, or maybe do it, but do it like this because this way is better. You don't have a person like that, so you just kind of going on your gut feel and hoping it's good, and then maybe you find out in playtesting if it's good or not. But ideally you'd have a point before that with teammates where that would come up. And quite frankly, I just miss having people around that know things, like, and this for now especially refers to programming, because for me it's a fairly newly learned skill. I wish there were people around where I could learn that better from, instead of having to Google everything. And it works, everything I do works, but it's probably not the best way to put something together.
Okay, but still, it's amazing.
Well, I really love that I can do it. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And well, later you can still form a team if you want.
Exactly. Like for this game, I'm going to do it like this because I'm already so far. But chances are after this, I will definitely look for a collaboration or forming a team. Yeah. And I guess another thing that is difficult that I have found with Billy is finding a publisher. Finding a publisher was a drag. It takes so much of your time, and a lot of people just kind of keep you hanging. But to be fair, there were also a lot of great responses, even if they didn't want to partner up. So, but there's a lot of stuff outside of just the game development itself that can take up your time, and if you're focused on finishing a game, it can get frustrating at times, like not having someone else to pick that up. So it's a bit weird because as of yet, Billy Bumbum has not been officially announced yet. So to those listening, pretend you haven't heard any of this. But once we do announce, marketing, and if you don't have a publisher or the funds for a marketing person, like for hiring a marketing person, that's something you have to do yourself. And that's something you're going to need to put a lot of time into. And not everybody likes that. I know I don't. So I'm glad I found a publisher that can pick that up for me. But yeah, keep in mind, you're probably going to need to put a lot of time in that, which again, is not time building your game.
Final question. What moment in your life as a solo indie dev will you always remember?
I guess there was one moment, and that was just finding out you can create something yourself, which for me was like at the beginning, I learned to program, and then just realizing you learned a skill that opens up an entire world of creation. That's sick. That's a great feeling. You're like, the world's on my fingertips, blah, blah. And that like those barriers being removed I used to be just a game designer, and you always have to work with a programmer or else your idea won't come to fruition, etc. That barrier being removed, that really felt great. So that is I guess my solo indie moment. There's my first game, Billy, will be released probably somewhere next year. So probably then there will be more moments that I will remember for sure. But for moments in the games industry and in general, shipping your first full game, that will always stick by you. In my case, that was Galaga Wars for Bandai Namco. That was the first game I shipped. It was the first game I did all the design for. It's a mobile game. And that's an amazing feeling, especially if you have so much of your own stamp on it, and especially if the reviews you read are good. that really feels great. And I think another one definitely is at the same studio I did Galaga Wars for with. I also created Good Job in direct collaboration with Nintendo, and getting to work with some of those Nintendo designer heavyweights who worked on, a bunch of Mario and Zelda games and shit. That is, that's pretty cool. It's like little game design heroes, and now you're working together. That's a really good feeling.
Yeah, you have a lot of experience since 2012. I think you're a game designer, right?
Yeah, so 2012, I started with Frambosa, with the studio. I restarted in 2020 as wanted to make a little stealth co-op game with a bunch of people. It didn't work out because I did not like people management at the time, and it was taking away a lot of my work. And then I joined Paladin Studios in The Hague, that would do a lot of great stuff, and stayed with them until I started Frambosa again.
Amazing. Cool. Well, we wish you good luck with Billy Bumbum, and we can't wait to play.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's I'm very excited to get it into people's hands as soon as possible, for sure.
Yeah. And also have fun at INDIGO, and hope you make some more connections there.
Yeah, for sure.
And thanks for being here, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me. It was good fun.
INDIGO is taking place in the Netherlands, an event where indies come together to present their games and network, like Studio Mantasaur. They are currently working on a puzzle game called All Hands on Deck. It's a game where you can play locally with a friend, and both of you play as two hands working together. The lead designer of Studio Mantasaur is Manou, and I had the chance to chat with her. Describe the scene from your current game, All Hands on Deck.
Well, that's a hard one because it's a puzzle game. But let's say that there's a scene where there's a puzzle and you have an extendable arm. And this extendable arm, you can reach your friends to a higher platform, or you can also use it horizontally. So that means you can go farther. So it's like an arm that retracts and extends. And that's really cool. And there's a puzzle where you see another one. So you already have one and you want the second one, obviously. But how to get there? So there are 2 platforms, and you're standing on the left, and the other one's on the right. And there's like a gap between them, and there's a platform in the middle and some buttons on top. So how to get there is you lift your friend up to the buttons. Those buttons move the platform, but it only moves the platform in the middle. So the other one down can jump on the platform, but then you're still not there on the right. So the players then realize that, the person with the buttons can jump down, climb on the extendable arm, retract, and then extend again to the right. So your friend is there with the second one. And the second one can then lift the player up also to the right. So then you're both there. And the cool thing about the 2 extendable arms is that you can use it like in height and in depth. So you can also stand on top of each other with an extendable arm. So you can reach buttons that are on weird places on the walls and stuff. So that's cool.
I think it's really great that you designed these 2 characters as 2 hands. How did you come up with the idea?
Well, that goes way back. So we're actually talking about some plushies. So we first wanted the characters to be plushies, that a child just lost the plushies, and we wanted the plushies to have different friends' abilities, actually. But then we thought, no, this looks way too much on a texture. So we were like, okay, how can we change this up? So maybe you play as the hands, and you have to find the plush back, and then you have 2 the same characters with maybe items that you can like both use, so that you don't have to switch from controller of character like you do in It Takes Two. And the hands at first were like sticky hands, like those toys that you can smash on the walls and then they stick on the windows or something. So that were the hands at first, and then we designed them like now just as normal hands or more cartoony hands. So that's actually the story behind it.
The studio is called Studio Mantasaur. Why the name? What's the story behind this?
That also goes way back. At first, we were the fancy narwhals, way different. And then we thought, okay, no, that's not really us. Studio Manta then. And we're like, okay, it's not really a reason behind it. And then we wanted to make an email or a social media, and Studio Manta was already in use. So we're like, no, that's, gosh dang it. So I had a Bulbasaur Funko at the side of my desk, and I was like, well, I can also use just Mantasaur, and then it's like more of a dinosaur or something. Like, that works. So that's actually a story. It's part Manta, part Bulbasaur.
Really cool. Fourth question. What do you think is great about being an indie dev, and what's rather difficult about it?
The great part is freedom. You can make what you want, make what you think is cool. Yeah, you can do so many things. So if you want to design, you can design. But if you want to do more than that, that's also fine, because you're a small team and everything needs to be made. So you can experience a lot of game development process, actually. And that's really nice. What's difficult is actually the same thing. You're a small team and you have to do so many things that you have like a limited time budget. You can do everything at the same time and you can't split yourself in two. So that's rather difficult, especially if you want to talk to publishers. You're a small team and you have to like get yourself out there. The risks of a small team, yeah, that's difficult.
Final question. What moment in your life as an indie dev will you always remember?
That's the hardest question. Oof. Well, I think that is yet to come, actually. Because INDIGO is for us a very big moment to get our game out there. And I'm very excited for it. Yeah, and I think it's very excited to meet all these people in the industry. Get some more experience. Yeah. So I think it's yet to come. Right now there's not really a specific thing. Yeah.
So that moment at Indigo, that's probably something you'll remember.
I hopefully, yes. Hopefully.
The Dutch indie studio MIG is programmer Nathan Nieuwenhuizen, the environment artist Joyce and the character artist Kai Calis. They are currently working on What's Missing, a surreal puzzle game. Hello, y'all.
Hello.
How are you all doing?
We're doing pretty good. All right, thank you.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
So, first question, describe a scene from your current game, What's Missing?
Of course. Yeah. What's Missing is just indeed a surreal puzzle game. It's a spot the difference type of game. But normally you will just get 2D images side to side. But this time you are playing a character named Gregory. That's so hard to pronounce. And you are inside a 3D environmental room that loops on itself. And every time you go into another room that's almost identical to the other, there are some subtle changes you need to guess. It first starts out a little bit simple, like chairs are missing or a lamp is too big. But later, also more abstract things can change and you need to spot those differences. Some examples are like the color can be missing or even gravity.
When you realize what's missing, you have to write it down somewhere, right?
Yes, there's a magical mirror that asks you what's missing indeed in the room. And then you type, as it were, the letters of that answer. Yeah, in early the stages of development, we already realized, like when the colors are missing, people were always asking us, is it color with an O or an O-U? Like American and English. So that's the first feedback we already had. And every tester asks that. But they're just always the same. They're both correct.
Okay, but because that's the thing I was also wondering about. So, well, I tried this version without you.
Yes, we also had some funny things like there's a level where like an object like the desk is missing. But because I'm Dutch, I also added the French variant of desk, and that's the bureau. And we always kept it in, and we thought, oh yeah, that's just normal. But oh no, that's not English at all. We just did some French. So it's also really funny to see that.
Second question. Your studio is called MIG. That's short for Missing in Group Name. Why?
It was fun to think of it. Like we started creating What's Missing for a school project. And for a school, we had to also have a group name. And we're like, oh, we don't have a group name yet. So at that time, it was only just me and Nathan that worked on the game. And we were like, oh, what should I call ourselves, like our studios? And we're like thinking in the theme of missing. And then I got a thought like, was something like MIA, like missing in action. So we made it like, oh, we're gonna be MIG, missing in group name.
Nice.
Yeah, very original.
Third question. What's great about being an indie dev and what's rather difficult?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. Lots to think about. For me personally, it's actually the freedom you have in creative choices. I have some internships and at some companies. And yeah, of course, you want to make money, of course, and it's commercial, but you have to go into a strict pipeline. And yeah, that might be a little bit restricting. And that's really fun of being an indie developer myself. But you also asked for the difficulties, or?
Yes.
Yeah, it's also a little bit the same. You need to do everything by yourself, of course. And that might be a little bit challenging, but also fun in a way, because you have a lot of tasks to do. Like indeed, you need to do development, also design, maybe also just marketing. There's a lot of things to see.
Joyce and Kai, what do you think?
Also, because we're such a small group, it feels a bit personal, like a little bit of a project almost. And you have a lot of freedom in what you do in that sense.
For me, freedom is just completely positive. Like I'm a person that likes to do a lot of different kind of things to work on. Like I don't like to focus on one specific aspect to work on a game. And by being an indie dev, you get the option, like the freedom to do everything you want and also the creative choices. And I really like that.
Final question. What moment in your life as an indie dev will you always remember?
That's a tough question, I would say. But I always really like to see the enthusiasm from the testers we had. to test our game. We had some test sessions to see if our mechanics worked with some people from also our school at the time. It was always nice to see that they got really enthusiastic about it, like, oh, like those reactions. And it also gives like a good motivation to even work further on this game and even release it.
Yeah, for me too. Although test sessions are also really stressful in a way because you open yourself completely to the audience, you know? You have worked on a game for, I don't know, how long, months, maybe years. And then you just, hey, this is what I made. What do you think? And then, yeah, it's not always, of course, positive. There might be bugs, or they think, well, you can change this or that. So it's really nerve-wracking, especially at first. But indeed, like Joyce said, when they are getting enthusiastic and they have the right response that you want, that's just a super great feeling. And especially at also at following test sessions, then those same persons go to test the game again, and they already know what it's all about. You see them really enthusiastic about it. Oh, let's go, let's play it again. And even if they've up their friends with it, it's so much fun that one tester doesn't know anything about the game, and the other one already played the game. Is really enthusiastic and really hyped up about it and tries to think, I need to do that. It's really great.
It's just fun to see people's reactions as well. And I guess even though the game is not on Steam yet, it's pretty cool to see it just like being official, like on them.
Really, really cool. Well, thank you all. That's it. You made it. Now, let's take a step back. This is from the narrative adventure Ruth's Journey, which is being developed by 3 friends who are calling themselves Nifty Llama Games. They too are presenting their game at the Dutch indie event INDIGO. We had the chance to talk to the creative director Leander Burger, who told us all about their upcoming game and their situation as indie devs. Hi, Leander. Nice to have you here.
Hi, Sarah. Nice to be here.
First question. Could you please describe a scene from your current game to us?
Yes. So in Ruth's Journey, as you described, you play as Ruth, who is a young woman who is kind of at a point in her life where she has this very strong passion for photography and she wants to be a nature photographer. But at the moment, she isn't at that point to do that as her career yet. So she decided to settle for a job at a nature department, which allows her to kind of do something related to nature and her passion, but she's not entirely happy there until she gets an opportunity to actually go out and try and take a picture of a rare bird that returns to the part of Canada where she lives, and that's the golden finch. And yeah, that's where the game kind of starts picking up, and you go out there and you actually use your analog photography, your analog camera to try and capture some nice pictures of this bird to potentially use it in like magazines and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Second question, what inspired you to make this sort of game?
We have a bit of a longer sort of story. This game originally was part or more like meant as a demo for another bigger sort of story that we wanted to tell. And we noticed that was just too much for us to achieve at the time. We were all students or just like starting our careers in sort of games and film. And yeah, then we just decided to kind of pivot a little bit. And we had these characters. We had written Ruth as a character, and we just wanted to explore her a little bit more. Photography is a big hobby of mine. I really enjoy just taking pictures, and during the development of the game I picked up more and more analog photography as well, which is super fun. And that was then like something that we kind of tried to combine. We knew we wanted to tell a story that takes place mostly in nature, and so that's how that whole sort of nature photography came to be. And at the time, as I'm saying, we're all still students and close to graduating now. But we were very much like in the situation that Ruth is in the story, where we're kind of starting out to go into the world and figuring out our place, what we want to do, how we're gonna like earn our money, and sort of balancing passion versus like having a stable job. I think that's always been a bit of a topic for all of us, because we all decided to go into the entertainment industry, and that's often a very passion-driven industry.
That's true. Yeah, nice. So third question, you haven't officially founded a company yet, but you guys, you're calling yourself a Nifty Llama Games. How did you come up with that name?
I don't fully remember. I think that's been like, for now, it's been like 4 or 5 years since we kind of decided on that name. And it was mainly like, I think it was just something that came up when we were just starting out, and we had this group and we knew we wanted to make a game together, and we were thinking, okay, we need some name that we're going to use for like social media and things like that. So we need a name for our company. At the time, we had no clue how to actually like start a company or anything, but we always just like kind of played pretend, I guess, and now it's more or less turning into it. But we were just brainstorming a bunch of different ideas and names. And I think we had like a name that was like Pantheon Games or something like that. Like that's still one that I remember for some reason. But we went through a lot of names, and at some point I think just somebody said like Nifty Llama. And everybody kind of immediately fell in love with it, and we kind of came up with the llama logo, and yeah, I think that just kind of fell into place from that. But it was really just writing down a lot of names and seeing kind of which one resonated with all of us.
Fourth question, what's great about being an indie developer and what's difficult?
Well, great, definitely the freedom you get. We basically... Yeah, since we worked on this game, it's always been a passion project, and that's also with our special situation, we never had like really any funding or so far. Really been trying to make this game with almost no budget, and anything we had to pay for was like financed from our own savings. And that, of course, that brings a lot of freedom. It like keeps that passion. We're not working for anyone. We're just doing this because we like it. And it's also just such a good learning opportunity to kind of figure out how to make a game of this form. And we can fully decide what we want to do with the game, where we want to take it. If we want to add another cutscene, if we want to add another level, like that's all up to us. But with that also comes, I think, the biggest difficulty, and that is so hard to limit yourself and scope the project to something that's realistic, because this game has been in development now since like 2017, on or off. And it's really just been like, at the beginning, we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't even like really know how to use Unreal Engine. And we just kind of started growing, and we grew as developers with this project. And now we're getting to a point where we kind of we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, kind of, and kind of can see what the final game will be like. And are just trying to push it out to release. But it's also super hard now, because we're seeing like all these things that we still want to do, or these opportunities that you see like at the very end of making the game. You see all these opportunities of like, this could be so cool if we add this new feature now, but it's really hard to say no. We just want to, like, we just have to release it at some point.
Final question, what moment in your life as an indie developer will you always remember, or in the games industry?
Yeah, it's funny. This definitely is a very recent moment for me that I think will stick around with me for a long time, because just in April this year, I got the opportunity to present an early demo of Ruth's Journey at WASD in London. And that was the first time I went to a games convention like this, and the first time I also got to exhibit one of my own games. And it was super terrifying. It was just insane, because we'd never yet had a public demo of the game shown, and we'd been working on this for so long. So it was just, I didn't know what to expect from it. I was really going into it being like, well, I didn't know if people were going to like it or not, what the response was going to be. But yeah, just overall, it was super awesome. The response was really amazing. Like, people really were positive about the game, and it really encouraged me and the rest of the team to keep going and actually like take the game more seriously. And yeah, just try and get it done and get it finished. And definitely those especially in-person game events, I'm so happy that they're back now. So I'm planning to join and be at a lot more of them in the future, and really like looking forward to that.
Great. Yeah, we can't wait for the game and to play it ourselves as well. So good luck with that, and also have fun at INDIGO.
Yes, thank you very much. Same to you.